Um, Not only because this is my favorite subject, one of the most complicated sciences in Islam, also because not complicated and deep and wide. Like you can spend many lifetimes exploring the science, but more so because it's a cause for a lot of confusion right now. Everybody's an armchair scholar. Everybody's trying to read the hadith and come to conclusions themselves, or getting confused and those kinds of things. So today, inshallah, I'll try to give you some tools, some terminology you need to be aware of. So terminology, we're going to do some terminology, and after that is when we'll walk through a toolkit that one of my good friends actually put together. It's a really good toolkit of for novices for how to approach a hadith, right? And when somebody's arguing about them, how should you approach it? But in order for that to be really useful, there's some terminology you have to learn. So today is going to be a little bit technical, but you'll see why it's important. Okay? Inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so last time we did talk about the fact that it was after the fitna, and some of the early fitna that happened, the Jamal and the conflict between Muawiyah and Ali, and the exit of the Khawarij, and the rise of Shi'ism, and it started to form its roots and those kinds of things. That is when people, what do you think people are going to do? People are going to, at that time, they are going to defend their position somehow or another. And how best to defend your position? You defend your position by associating an opinion you have with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Correct? And that's when some of the fabrications and the forgeries started. That was one reason. Then there were a lot of we call in Arabic qasasun. There were a lot of storytellers. People wanted to make money. How do you make money? Well, you exaggerate the stories of Isra and Mi'raj, and you talk about things about Rasulullah. You make up stuff. You entertain people. The entertainers, people gather around you. They tell stories. They're making stuff up just to earn a buck, and that's what was happening. Then there was a lot of political play. There was strife between the Shiism strife, and the Umayyad dynasty was against the Shias, and they were clobbering them. So they had to make up hadith. The other people who were disconnected, who were not the Sahaba, they were making up hadith. So all of this fitna was happening, right? So what we were losing was the actual sunnah. So the scholars at that time, like the Ibn Sirins of the world, like we talked about last time, what did Ibn Sirin say? Be careful who you take your religion from, number one, right? Number two, very, very famous statements from him. The other thing that he said was, before the fitna, we never used to ask about who told you, right? And after the fitna, we now are asking, who did you hear this from, right? I'm just paraphrasing. And there were, political reasons. People were making up hadith, like a lot of the times. Again, this is not going to make me super popular when I say this, but I'm going to say it anyway, because just for your education. A lot of the hadith about food, this is good for you, and that is good for you, and this is going to cure all your diseases, and this is that, stems from that as well. There were farmers. They wanted to sell their crops. How did they sell their crops? They would attribute something to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? There were other people who they didn't want to lie, but they wanted to bring people closer to the Quran. So what did they do? They started to make up hadith about the virtues of the surahs of the Quran, or the virtues of this and the virtues of that. Like, for example, there's a lot of fabricated hadith, but I'm just giving you an idea, okay? And these genres of hadith. The other thing is, people were making up stuff that was obvious lies. Like some were hidden with obvious lies, right? Like they would say that Rasulullah ﷺ said that such and such tribe is going to be protected and they're the right ones. It's like, why would he say, like, be so specific about? No. So people used to believe, right? So that's what the atmosphere was that gave birth to. The scholars said, we got to do something here. What's going on? This is not good, right? So we're going to lose the sunnah. So this is what gave birth to our deen. So in that atmosphere, if you're living, right, and you're a scholar, when you hear something, what are you going to do? You're going to scrutinize it very, very heavily, super heavily, right? So there began the demand for chain of narrations, and then we've talked about that. I'm going to just talk about it just a little bit. So Abdullah bin Mubarak, who died 118 Hijrah, around the same time. Yes, sir. Make it even larger?
Yes.
Okay. So he said, the isnad to me is part of the deen. If it weren't for the isnad, anyone could say anything he wanted. What is isnad? The chain of narrations, right? That's the Arabic word. Sanad means a chain. Isnad means the chain of narrations, typically in the hadith terminology. Any questions? Everybody clear? Everybody with me? Okay, inshallah. Okay. So Ibn Sirin, again, said the knowledge is your deen, to be careful where you get your deen from. Okay, a little bit about isnad. So I'll give you an analogy. Let's look at the Christian Bible, the New Testament. You have the books like Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Peter, Paul, right? They have books. When were those books written? And they know, like Christians know, that these books were written by those apostles, they say. They were written the earliest book, I believe, was written 60 years after the taking away of Isa alayhi salam. 60 years. But who's validating that 60 years later, this guy, he had any association with the earlier disciples, the Hawariyun of Isa alayhi salam, the disciples of Isa alayhi salam? Nothing. They have zero information, zero. What happened? Early Christianity was in shambles, super shambles. All of the 12 apostles, not all of them, I don't know, don't quote me on this, most of them at least, murdered, killed. The different sects in Christianity were rampant. Like some are saying this about Jesus, some are saying that about Jesus, some are all over the place. It was if you look at the Christian history, early Christian history, mind-blowing, confusing. Okay, I'm not even, I'm not good at history anyway, so I'm not able to tell it to you. I'll kind of write it down and then be able to tell you one day, inshallah, I might be able to do that. But what's my point? My point is, if you don't preserve the deen, then that's what's going to happen. And what was Bible? It was really the sayings of Jesus alayhi salam. What happened to the gospel, the Injil? By the way, just a trivia for you, the word evangelists actually comes from Injil. Okay, so where was the Injil? It got lost. Okay, so this is what the scholars were worried about, because the Quran has been warning about don't lose your religion, essentially, right? So now chains of narrations became extremely important. Who did you hear this from? Okay, is that person good? Who did that person hear from? And so on and so forth. So that's called the isnad. And we did that musalsal last time in our last class. That was an isnad. So I tried to, in my humble way, connect you to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, just to kind of give you an idea. Okay, so isnad is huge, and it's not just isnad, but when you are narrating, you want to make sure that you have a license to narrate, right? So have you heard of the term ijazah, right? What does ijazah mean? Ijazah means in Arabic, it means permission. In Urdu we say ijazat, right? So your teacher gives you ijazah, they give you ijazat, permission to teach. Okay, there's many ways that teachers give the ijazah, they shake your hand, or they narrate something to you directly, or if they know you for a while, they'll just quiz you for a few things, and then they'll give you ijazah to teach. But it's very hard to get an ijazah. Okay, it's not easy. You have to put in a lot of work to be able to do that. And you don't get an ijazah for just everything. You don't. You get ijazah on very, 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 very specific things. So you will get an ijazah, say, on to be able to narrate from and teach from Riyadh al-Salihin, say. That's your ijazah. That's all your ijazah. Yes?
Is there a requirement you have to be hafiz or anything like that?
It depends on your teacher. So they can stipulate. If you have a hard teacher, like I was trying to get I was requesting one of the shaykh to give me an ijazah. He's like, do you have the Quran memorized? I'm like, no. He's like, nope, thank you. Sorry, no can do. So yeah, it's tough, okay? So I don't have any ijazahs, just so you know, clear, okay? This is why I'm just giving you some basic level information. So I'm your teacher's aide. Consider me a TA, teacher's aide, yeah? Okay, inshallah. But I'm trying to get one ijazah in the qira'ah, in the qira'at, inshallah. I'm working on that. Okay, anybody interested in learning tajweed, contact me. All right? Okay, so enough on this. You guys kind of understand the ijazah. I sent you guys a video on the change of narrations from Yasir Qadhi. I hope you watch it. If you didn't watch it, now watch it again, because I don't want to go through all of that. It's a lot of detail, and it's going to take away from what I'm about to do right now. But change of narrations of hadith kind of look like this. You see this? Chains of narrations. So here's Aisha radiallahu anha. I'm just giving you a taste. We'll come back to this, inshallah. So she is narrating through Yahya Abd al-Rahman, Urwa bin Zubayr, al-Aswad bin Yazid, Abu Ubaidah. These are all of the Sahaba or the Tabi'un that are listening to her and then propagating her message. So this hadith is about the age of Aisha. There's so much discussion nowadays is like, it's a sensitivity about, when Rasulullah got married to her, she was 6, and then when they consummated their marriage, they were 9. And then there's a lot of people arguing about that can't be right. No, the hadith is weak, or no, she was actually 19. What top scholars, they look at is this chart. Do you see how widespread? This is not normal for a hadith, okay? This is very atypical. You see all of these changes. We don't understand all of that. What I'm trying to just show you is this is very strong evidence that she was 6 when she got married, okay? Extremely strong evidence, okay? But inshallah, we'll talk more about that. Most hadiths don't look like this, okay? Most of the change. Maybe I'm going... I'm introducing things that you're not super familiar with, but that's okay. Remember I told you there's methods of hadith transmission or teaching. I told you hearing directly from your teacher is called sama'a. These terms don't really matter. I'm just kind of introducing you just so you kind of understand. Just at least a category, right? Presenting to the teacher, you read to the teacher. For example, I'll give you an example. Imam al-Shafi'i, and inshallah when we'll come to one day learning about fiqh, I will talk about this again. So Imam al-Shafi'i, he wanted to learn. So he went to Imam Malik. Imam Malik asked him about, do you know the Muwatta, which is his book, and we learn about what that is. And he's like, yes. And he tested him. He's like, okay, read to me. And in one of the videos that I sent you for the biography of Imam al-Tirmidhi, he's the same. So he's going to a teacher. He forgot to bring his book, so he's reading to him and presenting to him. That's called ard. Ard means you present, okay? Then you get the permission from the teacher, or you get the munawala, ijazah. This is permission from the teacher, right, to teach something. So when you get an ijazah, you want to have the shortest path to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? Because the shorter your path, the more stronger that chain is, right? Stronger in the sense that it's closer, chances of less corruption, right? Longer the chain. Have you heard of Chinese whispers? Do you know what I'm talking about? The game of telephone or Chinese whispers? If I say something in his ear right now, and he passes and says this, tries to say what I said in other people's ears, and by the time it gets to you, it will be something different, not what I said, right? So the shorter the chain, the closer to what I actually said, okay? The longer the chain, the chances of corruption are higher. So we will see that slowly and slowly, inshallah. There's a lot to learn. Like I told you, just tighten your belt a little bit, okay? And so on and so forth. But that's okay. There's one more last thing I will tell you: discovery of documents. So a lot of children of the Sahaba or the successors, the Tabi'een, they discovered books written by their dads, their fathers, their grandfathers. It's called discovery of documents, called waḍʿ, okay, to discover a document. So that happened as well, okay? Anyways, now, everybody kind of sort of confused with the chain of narrations, ijazah? Okay, all right, alhamdulillah. Now, what is a hadith? What is a hadith? Hadith, what does a term mean? Term means speech or something new. Quran is also a hadith. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran calls the Quran hadith. فَبِأَيِّ حَدِيثِ مِن بَعْدِهِ يُؤْمِنُونَ. After which hadith after this will you believe in? Meaning which speech? The speech of the Quran, speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which speech would you believe in other than the Quran? This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. So that's hadith has multiple meanings, but there are just like we learned how the term sunnah is very contextual, right? When you say sunnah, what does it mean? Is it part of the fiqh sunnah? It's things that are recommended to do, like entering some place with the right foot. That's the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, then there's the sunnah of in terms of aqidah, which is the actual belief, and the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So terms have different meanings depending on context. So when you're talking about hadith in general, typically it means this something that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, or something he did, or something he approved of without saying anything. Okay. So typically that's what it's called. Okay, or an attribute of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how he looked. Because at the end of the day, what are we trying to do with hadith? What is our end goal? To follow the footstep of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to follow the edict of the Quran. We talked about the Hujjiyat Sunnah. What Hujjiyat Sunnah? What is the Quran telling us to do? Obey the messenger, follow the prophet. Whatever he gives you, take it. Whatever he prevents you, that's the goal. How do you get to that goal? You look at these data points. So hadith are just these data points. What did he say here? What did he do? And or when was he quiet about something? When he saw something happening and he was quiet. Why is that important? Because because he was Rasulullah. If he saw something wrong, and since he's a teacher of the deen, if he saw something wrong, he has to correct it. He has to say something about it. This is not right. This is what you should do. Because if he doesn't do that, he is then not educating. Right? How would you know that something is right or wrong? He has to tell you this is wrong, this is right. So if he's quiet about something, then it means it is approved. For example, in the masjid, in Masjid al-Nabawi, there were acrobats, essentially dancing and doing acrobatics. And Aisha radiallahu anha, authentic hadith, Aisha radiallahu anha, remember the houses connected to Masjid al-Nabawi? Remember that? Okay. See, all of the information I gave before is going to come in use, inshallah. So she is in her hujra, kind of peeking a little bit, and she had her head on the shoulder of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, watching the acrobats, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is watching the acrobatics. There are people reciting poetry in the masjid. Poetry. And poetry was big, right? Rasulullah listening to the poetry, not stopping them, not stopping the acrobats. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for example, heard some girls reciting poetry in a singing way, for example, and he didn't say anything to them. They said one statement which was incorrect, that Rasulullah has the knowledge of the unseen. Stop. Don't say this part, but everything else you continue. You understand? Christians, they came, the wafd of the delegation of the Christians, they came to Masjid al-Nabawi. In Masjid al-Nabawi, they're worshipping Jesus. In Masjid al-Nabawi, they're worshipping Jesus.
Yeah.
And approved. Okay? Because hospitality. Okay? Nowadays, if you do anything like that, out of the masajid, right?
Yeah.
You understand what's going on? You know, people have a problem even with screens, and you know, people who want to do khutbah with the screen and educate people. Oh no, it's bid'ah and all of that stuff. Anyways, we're like so far away from even commenting. So I'm just kind of telling you, giving you an idea. So again, you have to. I want you to know this. What is a hadith? It is qawl, meaning the saying of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said something, or it is fi'l. He did something. Like he did wudu, for example. Like he prayed salah, right? He did something, or he approved of something. So I gave you several examples of the approval of something where he didn't say anything. Okay. Then there are sifa. Sifa is the attribute. How did he look? How many white hair did he have in his beard, on his head? How did he wear his turban, sallallahu alaihi wasallam? When did he? What kind of clothes did he wear, etc., etc. Right? So that's called sifa. So that is called hadith. We get the hadith from reports. These reports are called khabar. Okay, khabar means a report, right? Somebody give me a khabar, a data point, right? Information, piece of information. The information comes to us. I'm apologize again. It's gonna be a lot of terminology. Okay, I'll print all of this out and send it to you, inshallah. Okay, so don't worry about memorizing any of this. I'm just giving you these words so that next time you hear them, when you're listening to a lecture, you're like, I know that. I heard that before, or you can go back and review in the video and take your notes, whatever. So you get them through a tariq, a path. You can get the same report through multiple paths, correct? Or the multiple isnad, asanid, multiple chains of narrations. Okay. There is also another term used called athar. Athar means footstep. It literally means footstep or path. Okay. Not a path, but you know what I mean. Athar, like a pathway that you follow. Typically, the term athar is reserved for the statements, the qawl, the fi'l, or the taqreer, the approval, or the sifa of anybody else other than the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the athar of the Sahaba, for example. What did Umar say, radiyallahu anh? What did Ali say, radiyallahu anh? What did he do? What was his verdict about such and such situation? What was his opinion about such and such situation after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? You only want to look at the athar. It's a plural of athar. After Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, obviously, because you don't want to look at before, because it kind of doesn't matter, because you want to prioritize the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam clearly. So the term hadith is relatively reserved in terminology. By the way, this terminology evolved over time. Did the scholars, did Umar radiallahu anh, Ali, did they know all this stuff? Of course not. This is all stuff that was created this framework was created to really bring about authenticity in the sunnah, right? To extract the authentic sunnah, right? So the previous generation, as salaf, they didn't really use this terminology. This terminology evolved over hundreds of years. So what I'm telling you now is the end result. I'm not going to confuse you with history because it's not that important anymore. Do you understand? So some of these terms have been used in different ways, but I'm giving you now the common understanding of what all the standardization by a lot of luminaries, finalization by, guess who? Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. I've said his name over and over. Hopefully now you know how important he is. Okay? Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. So he's the final one who standardized it. Okay, so this terminology. And he has a book. I will talk about that later. Athar is Athar also encompasses hadith as well. So there you must have heard of they say when it comes to aqidah, you say he's athari and he's ash'ari. Ash'ari is from Imam al-Ash'ar. He is the Imam. But athar, I know they sound really similar, so I'm kind of enunciating a little bit so that you understand. Athar are people, Ahlul Hadith, for example. You must have heard of the term of Ahlul Hadith, kind of like that. So people who prioritize the Hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam over opinions of, it's a very, over opinions, they're called Athari. For example, I am an Athari, okay? So when I say that, meaning I prioritize Hadith over opinions. Okay, that's just the methodology I lean toward. That's all. That's all it means. So I just want to tell you, it's the same word, athar. Okay, so athar encompasses hadith, but typically when you're using both together, you mean hadith when you say it is specific to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or athar is for other than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, great. And again, hadith is only a raw data point. So if you hear a hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said this. If the hadith is really short, would you have any context of when and how and under which condition he said something? No, you may not. So oftentimes we have no context. So it has to kind of be pieced together. Just to give you an idea, Imam Bukhari, he said, I compiled Bukhari where I selected 7,000 hadith, 7,000 plus hadith from 600,000 hadith. 600,000. Those are not hadith. You understand? Those are chains, right? So the same event can be reported, like for example, the event of when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Masjid al-Nabawi, he's doing something, or he's giving a khutbah, or he's narrating about Dajjal, or whatever the case may be, right? So a lot of companions are listening, and some of them are reporting, some of them are not reporting. Like for example, not everybody is interested in all kinds of sciences, right? Some people are interested in, they have hobbies, right? Some collect coins, some watch a lot of movies, some like to hike outside. Everybody has interest. So Sahaba that were interested in collecting the reports of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they're narrating. Others are not narrating. They're doing something else. Some are experts of fiqh. Some are experts of hadith. Some are experts of aqidah and those kinds of things. So you have these specialties. So keep in mind, not all of the Sahaba are narrating. You understand? Okay. Where was I going with this?
Raw material.
Sorry, raw material, right. So you often don't have context, so you have to piece together. So you have to have tremendous familiarity, not just familiarity, a lot of knowledge about all of this content before you can piece stuff together. What I'm trying to tell you is, when you open up a book and you find a hadith, and people find a problem with this hadith or whatever they're understanding, it's like you can't just look at one hadith and just make your judgment call. It's a warning. I'm giving you a warning. It's like you can't do that. Ask people of knowledge first, right? And we will talk about how to approach hadith. There's so much out there. How many ayat in the Quran? 6,000 something. Okay, depends how you number them. 6,200 something. Okay. Can you just take one ayah of the Quran and pull it out of the Quran and say, okay, this is what Allah says, that's it, and you understand your deen. No, you cannot do that. Quran is a unit. Similarly, Sunnah is a unit. You can't just take a data point out there and derive your deen from it. You cannot do that. Even if you know the sciences of the Hadith, if you're doing that, you're very ignorant. Okay? So I'm telling you these things to give you tools to defend Islam. Right? So when people attack or misinform people, they abuse, that's what you need to tell them. It's like there's so much you don't know. So much you don't know. People hardly understand the Quran, let alone the body of Hadith. There's so many Hadith. So many. And out of that, a subset of them are all authentic. The rest of them are not so authentic. Okay, and we'll understand that. But I'm giving you the importance. Okay, so now let's talk about what does a Hadith look like. When you first open up a Hadith, when you look at a book of Hadith, what do you see? So are you able to see all of this on the screen? Okay, great. I color-coded it just so you kind of understand. So the Hadith has two main components. One is called the Sanad or the Isnad. Both terms are used. And the other is called the Matn. So the Sanad is the chain and Matn is the body of the Hadith. Okay? So why is that important? Because when somebody is telling you, oh, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said this, I want to know, okay, where did you get this from? So that's the chain part. Where did you get this from? And the body part is actually what it was, whether it was the saying of the Prophet ﷺ or his actions or his attribute or what have you. You guys understand chain versus body? Okay, great. So what you see on the screen, the red part is the chain. The chain has... I want to at least give you this. I'm going to teach you a few Arabic words. If one of the folks can bring the board, I'd really appreciate that. I'm not going to get into it right now. I'm going to get to that later. And then he would say something like. So actually, let's just go through this. I have translated it on the other side in English, right? So. Let's just read this thoroughly, carefully, just so you get familiar. حدثنا al-Walid bin Muslim. Yes, sir. Make it bigger? Okay. حدثنا al-Walid bin Muslim. Al-Walid bin Muslim narrated to us. This term حدثنا is very commonly used. So where did I find this hadith? This is in Musnad Imam Ahmad. One of the earliest books of Hadith, Musnad Imam Ahmad. Okay, very very important piece of collection. Not translated in English very much. There's a few volumes you can buy from Darus Salam. It has 27,000 Hadith. We will talk about what this is later on, inshallah. So Musnad Imam Ahmad, Hadith 18,629. Okay, so what is Imam Ahmad saying? That it was narrated to us by Al-Walid bin Muslim. So Al-Walid bin Muslim is the teacher of Imam Ahmad. You follow? He is narrating them hadith. Remember we said this is how the teachers narrate to their students by sama'a, or they present to them. So what is he saying here? That I heard. My teacher Al-Walid bin Muslim narrated to me. So the first name in the chain is the teacher of the collector. You understand? The first name in the chain is the teacher of the collector. So Imam Ahmad's teacher is, one of the teachers is Al-Walid bin Muslim. Now you know who his teachers were. You follow? Okay. Everybody with me? Okay, alhamdulillah. Al-Walid bin Muslim Abu Abbas al-Dimashqi. He has a very long name. So there's a lot of long names. Okay. بمكة إملاء قال, he said, حدثني عبد الرحمن bin Yazid bin Jabir, that Abdurrahman bin Yazid bin Jabir narrated to me. So his teacher is saying, so Imam Ahmad is saying that Al-Walid bin Muslim narrated to us that his teacher said that Abdurrahman bin Yazid narrated to me. So that Abdurrahman narrated. I think you're following me, inshallah. Then who said, حدثني Yahya bin Jabir al-Ta'i. Okay, from the same family. You know Hatim Ta'i, we say Hatim Ta'i. Hatim al-Ta'i, that's the Ta'i. Okay. So he's saying, he's not this guy, but it's from the same family, same last name. حدثني Yahya bin Jabir al-Ta'i. He narrated to me, Qadhi Himsa qal. Okay, so he was a judge. This comma is in the wrong place. So the narrator is saying that he was the judge of Hims. Okay, he's giving you a piece of information who he was. He was the judge of Hims. Qala, he said, this guy, the judge, حدثني Abdurrahman bin Jubair, that Abdurrahman bin Jubair bin Nufair al-Hadrami from Hadramaut, okay, narrated to me from his father. He didn't say, my father narrated to me. What did he say? From his father. What does that mean? It means the naql, the transmission method is not defined. It's very important. An. It says an. From my father. Okay? You follow? This is important. So if you read Muqaddimah of Sahih Muslim, Imam Muslim has a really dense discussion toward the end of the Muqaddimah, which probably went over everybody's head. And it's very dense. So he talks about the importance of an. So have you ever heard of on the authority of such and such, on the authority of such and such? That means an. From the authority of his father. But the method of transmission is clear. So what is clear? Haddathana. He narrated to us. He narrated to me. He told me. Right? I read to him. He shook my hand and told me. You understand? We met him. And he's narrated to us. All of those, when there's the link between the two people, that's how it's established. And these words are super important for the scholars. So when somebody says an, from, it's unclear. It's unclear. So it's weak. It's a weak link. Okay? You follow? So the chart that we saw earlier, you saw some are these dotted lines and some are solid lines. Typically when you see a isnad chart like that, that's what it means. So solid line means he told me, he narrated to me, but a dotted line means from, kind of thing. You understand? Okay. So, inshallah, will you be able to, when you look at Sahih al-Bukhari and you see these names, you'll be able to recognize the names, inshallah. You can read a little bit of Arabic. You all read the Quran. You can read the names. So, what are the words you need to be looking for? Haddathana, akhbarana. I'll give you this list, inshallah. Okay, so that you can then do it yourself. And an, from. Okay. Okay. Even though you don't know Arabic, this much you need to know to be able to read the hadith. Okay? Alright. Then he says, from my father, that annahu sami'an nawas. Do you want me to do the English part? Because I'm kind of doing it here.
Yeah, English is better.
English is better? Okay. But okay, that's fine. Guess what? In the books of hadith, in the translation and Sunan.com and other places, nobody translates the chain. They start right at the body of the hadith. They just say the name of the sahabi and then the body of the hadith, right? So you will hear you will see the purple part narrated. That Nawas bin Sam'an al-Kilabi, he said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned. So who is this guy? He is a sahabi, radiyallahu anhu. Nawas bin Sam'an al-Kilabi, who said Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned. Okay, dhakara Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I chopped. It's a long hadith. So I just chopped. I was just at a random hadith and I just pulled it and it created this. Okay, so Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, فَبَيْنَهُمْ كَذَلِكَ. This is talking about Ya'juj and Ma'juj. I was writing an article on Ya'juj and Ma'juj. So this is the point where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala فَبَيْنَهُمْ كَذَلِكَ Allah when Isa Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to Isa alayhi salam, Ya'juj and Ma'juj are coming, my servants are coming, you won't be able to fight them. You won't be able to fight them. Protect yourself in the Mount Tur. You know, Turi Saina, take them to Mount Tur and they'll be protected over there. So the followers of Isa alayhi salam are going to be then following Isa alayhi salam to Mount Tur. They will seek protection in the mountain. That's this hadith. Okay. If you want to read the words, they're kind of beautiful. Okay. فَبَيْنَهُمْ كَذَا. So a lot happened before. So this is a long hadith where talks about the arrival of Dajjal and arrival of Isa alayhi salam and Isa alayhi salam defeating the Dajjal, and then after that's done, then the emergence of Ya'juj and Ma'juj and how they start to emerge, etc. And then here, this is the middle part where it says that when they were when the folks were in such a state. فَبَيْنَهُمْ كَذَلِكَ إِذْ أَوْحَى اللَّهَ إِلَى عِيسَى ibn Maryam, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to Isa, the son of Mary, إِنِّي قَدْ أَخْرَجْتُ عِبَادًا مِنْ عِبَادِي. There's tons of information in here, okay? I'm not gonna try to be too dense. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that servants from my servants, they have been released. Okay? Meaning they're actually, Ya'juj and Ma'juj are, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling them ibad. You understand? Very significant. That they are like the human beings. They're going to be from human beings, okay? So this is one way to understand that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, they're my ibad. They're my servants. لا يدان لك بقتالهم. You will not be able to fight them. Meaning if you try to fight them, they'll defeat you. They'll kill you. They're going to be millions and millions and millions of Ya'juj and Ma'juj be released. And they'll wreak havoc on earth. Okay? I don't know why I'm talking about this, but it was a pretty dense topic. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling Isa alayhi salam, you will not be able to fight them. فَحَرِّزْ عِبَادِي إِلَى الطُّورِ. Then take my servants to Mount Tur, meaning your followers. فَيَبْعَثُ اللَّهُ يَأْجُوجَ وَمَأْجُوجَ. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Okay. Eventually, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Isa alayhi salam will make dua, and the Ya'juj and Ma'juj will die. Their corpses will start to rot. There's millions and millions and millions of Ya'juj and Ma'juj, like ants crawling all over the earth, kind of, I'm just giving you in quantity, not size. And then their bodies will start to rot, and then there will be a foul smell coming from earth. Then it will bother the remaining human beings, the Muslims. And then Isa alayhi salam will make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again, that, oh Allah, get rid of the smell. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send rain and it'll cleanse the earth. Okay, everything will be cleansed. And then their bodies, فَتَحْمِلُهُمْ فَتَطْرَحُمْ حَيْثُ شَاءَ. So Allah will send birds that will take their bodies and they will throw them where Allah wills. That's the portion right here. It's a very long, it is a whole fascinating topic. I translated, not translated, but I worked on an article where I put in references. If you're interested, I can send you this article. Okay, inshallah.
This is in Bukhari too, Muslim.
Oh yeah, it's in a lot of places, yeah. But this is just an example. I'm just giving you an idea, okay? From one hadith, you can extract so much information just about how it's said and who it's said and what words are used. There's a lot there. Do you kind of follow? Mm-hmm. Next time you look at hadith, so typically you won't see it color-coded like this, right? It will be all together like jumbled up. So you kind of have to figure out how to break it apart. Of course, if you know Arabic, it'll be easy, but if you don't know Arabic, it'll take a little bit of work. So the words you need to recognize are some of the top, the ones you're able to split the chain away, from the body, then it becomes easy, inshallah. Okay, good. So those are the components of hadith. So again, bringing back, what are the two components of hadith? The chain and the text. A lot of the scholars, since hadith can be really, 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 really long, some of them can be really, really long. How do you number them? Like a numbering system is a new invention, right? How do scholars talk to each other about a hadith? How do you talk to each other about the hadith?
The hadith, they should know it too.
There's a short form of the hadith that you use, right? For example, if I say the hadith of إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, everybody knows, right? That's the popular thing. That's called, it's not here. That has a word term for it. Okay, it's called al-ṭarf, a side. ṭarf. Ta, ra, ta. Ṭarf. Okay? Plural is al-ṭarf. There are books written. There are books written with just the al-ṭarf, just the short form of the hadith. Okay? It's been, this tarf, meaning this hadith, this short form of hadith, is narrated by this chain, this chain, this chain, this chain, this chain, this chain. Okay? One of the most popular atraf book, let me just kind of show you. It's going to be in Arabic. I'll help you. Don't worry. Okay? Inshallah. تحفة الأشراف بمعرفة الأطراف. The scholars of the past, they used to rhyme. They named their books in a rhyming fashion. Okay? That was their style. So all of the books are like, their names are like poetry. Okay? So تحفة الأشراف بمعرفة الأطراف. You know, it rhymes.
So rapping is not something new.
No, yeah, it's been around. So this is by al-Mizzi, Jamaluddin al-Mizzi, written in the 800 Hijras. Okay? I'm going to give you, for example, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Okay? إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ. Without Arabic, all of this stuff is inaccessible to you. Zero. You have nothing is translated. Once you go from the beginner to the intermediate level, that's it. You will hit a wall if you don't know Arabic. You will not be able to learn anything. You'll be just a student wanting to learn and you'll be like, I can't learn. So then you have to take a pause for about a few years and learn Arabic and then start to progress. Because if you want to progress, you have to learn Arabic. Okay, so where did it go? Okay, hadith. You see, is this? I know this is not probably big enough, right? Let me just make it bigger. Hadith number 6,640. Okay, hadith. Innamal a'malu binniyat ... So this is a tarf. You get it? The hadith is longer, but this is just the short form. Okay, al-hadith. Okay, haddathana Sufyan and Yahya. So he's talking about the chains here. So this is the book. It's a very dense technical book. You think anybody is going to read it for light reading at night? No. You're going to use it as a reference. That's what it is. So you see these scholars who have all this huge library of books behind themselves. Do they have it just to show off? No. They have it for this kind of stuff because they want to research, right?
It's like a lawyer.
Yeah. Like book. I like this stuff because it's easier to look. Yeah, make sense? Okay, great. I just wanted to tell you what a tarf is. Okay,
10
so
years ago, those guys didn't have what you have now.
So yes, exactly. They didn't. They did it from their memory. Can you believe this? Can you believe this? Okay. By the way, how many atraf are there? So how many unique beginnings or short forms of the hadith are there? If you look, this will actually give you how many actual hadith, not chains, because for one hadith there could be many chains, right? How many unique unique atraf are there? That will tell you the quantity of the hadith out there in the universe right now. Okay, kind of. This is not everything, but you'll get an idea. If you look, 12,000, okay, toward the end of the book or so. Okay, Malik bin Dinar, he's the last one. I think this is the last one. I don't know if this is about 15,000, okay. 15,000 unique ahadith with different chains. There are many, many, many chains for a lot of hadith, and we'll learn about that, okay, inshallah. Okay, great. You guys get the idea? So I'm kind of slowly like overloading you. I hope that's okay. All right. So we know what the chain is. We know what the text of the hadith is. Where do we get the hadith from? How are they collected? Tafsir books have ahadith. There are collectors of hadith, right? Like Imam Bukhari, Imam Malik, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, and all those. Many, many more. Many, many more. Okay. Then there are people who were collecting just the seerah, information about the seerah, that as a hadith. So these are called the sources of a hadith. I don't want to get too much into it. It's okay. It's not that important. Okay. So here is the most important thing. Now we're going to start. Unfortunately, this intro took a while. How do you authenticate a hadith? How do you know this is authentic versus not? There are three aspects you look at, and you can guess what are at least the two aspects. You look at the validity of the chain, okay? You authenticate the text, but you also then authenticate the context. Okay, this is advanced stuff. It's typically, this is not for the faint of heart. Most scholars in the whole dang world just do that. Classification, they just classify a hadith based on the chain. Because delving into the other, it's dangerous territory. That's number one. And number two, you have to be like super Einstein to be able to do the others, okay? We'll talk about that, inshallah. I'm just going to give you a hint. Most of the authentication is done at the Isnad level. Okay? All right. Okay. I'm going to talk about that section later on. What is a Sahih? What defines it? What is the criteria of the Sahih Hadith? By the way, this evolved later, okay? The one who first documented this is a scholar named Rama Hurmuzi. But Imam al-Shafi'i, when he wrote his book Al-Risala, as a response to, he was trying to convince the Hanafis really, and the Malikis, hey guys, don't just look at the traditions of the Ahlul Madinah, the people of Medina, and to the Hanafis saying, don't just come up with opinions. Hadith are important, okay? That's what he was trying to make a point. Imam al-Shafi'i. He wrote his book called Al-Risala. When we do the fiqh, we will understand that a little bit more. But, so, he started with some documentation. But anyway, long story short, this is the criterion. In order for the hadith to be authentic. So remember we said the chain. This person told this person told this person. It has to be a continuous chain. It cannot be a broken chain. Okay? So this is called ittisal as-sanad, the continuity of the chain. Okay? You have to have that for authentic hadith. Ittisal as-sanad. Very important. Okay. Second, okay, you can have a continuous chain. You can have liars in the middle or untrustworthy, unreliable people, right? You can. You got to look at each and every person and know who that person is and are they reliable or not. How do you arrive at the reliability? You look at two major things. And people, scholars of like Imam Bukhari's of the world and before, they traveled thousands of miles for one hadith. Just to get to meet one of these people and evaluate their adala, their reliability. Can you believe the amount? And we just quote hadith left, right, and center so easily. So much work has been done. It's mind-blowing. Okay? Okay, so we look at two things. One is called the adala, means their trustworthiness is called, trustworthiness. And the second is called, so I'll explain all these things inshallah. The second thing we look about a narrator is, this is called narrator criticism, naqd al-sanad, naqd al-rawi, the narrator criticism. So that we looked at the chain, we criticize the chain, if it's connected or not disconnected, and if it's disconnected, where it's disconnected, and why it's disconnected. Is it acceptable disconnection or not acceptable disconnection? Then we're looking at the narrators. The narrator criticism, are they trustworthy? 1. 2, are they accurate in their transmission? How accurate are they? Are they like me who forget? Or are they accurate? Can they repeat something word for word? Or did they take a note? If they have a notebook and they took a note, then that's good for their accuracy, right? Okay. So you look at, for the narrator, two things: their adala and their accuracy. It's called dabt. Adala and dabt. When you have both, then you are a thiqa. You remember last week we said, oh, this person is a thiqa. He is a solid guy because he's both and udul. He's a trustworthy person and he's a dhabit. He has a lot of good dhabt accuracy in his transmission. Okay. Then you look at, that's the chain, right? Then you have the body of the hadith, right? I told you, this is dangerous territory. I'll talk about that later, all right? Now I'm just talking about terminology. You look for contradictions. So, for example, if a junior Sahabi says something that contradicts, so now we're in the body, right? Not chain anymore. Okay. So there's Sahabi saying Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, right? Okay. Qala Rasulullah, he said. So if a junior Sahabi, this person right here, the last of the chain is a Sahabi, right? He said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. Okay? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. If this person, who is a junior Sahabi, contradicts for the same event a senior Sahabi as an example, that's a contradiction, right? So we will say this hadith is shadh. It has shuduz. It has contradiction. I know it's a fancy word. I can write that down, but it's not important. So, an authentic hadith, so I'm taking you slowly. An authentic hadith has to have a connected chain, ittisal sanad, right? It has to have the ruwat, the narrators. They have to have adala. They have to be credible, and they have to have dhabt. They have to have accuracy. 3, right? 4. Okay, there's 5 categories. Okay. 4. What is it? Adam al-shudud. There shouldn't be any contradiction. Adam al-shudud. Okay? Lack of contradiction. 3rd, Adam al-illah. The absence of, the body has to have absence of hidden defects. What's a hidden defect? Okay, you have to be a super scholar to be able to figure out hidden defects. Hidden defects could be in the body or in the chain. For example, this person is accurate, he is credible, and he said, I heard it from this person. Did he really? You follow? That's a hidden defect. Okay? Or so the chain could be solid, right? The body, the content may not be solid. Like, for example, we talked about fabrications, right? If somebody's talking about, for example, the virtues of the Shia to Ali, or something political, the content is political, Rasulullah ﷺ said something political, followed by something political, about the Umayyad dynasty. What's going on? That can't be right. Right? It's a historical issue. So, the hadith of politics is, or it could be something that's word for word from the New Testament or the Old Testament in Arabic. It's possible. It's a lot there. Okay? It's a lot there. So, those are I'm not saying those are hidden defects. I'm just giving you some basic examples just to kind of relate with you. So you understand? So, 5 things. So it turned off?
No.
Okay. Yeah, 5 things. Continuous chain, the credibility of the narrator, trustworthiness of the narrator. I keep using different words. I'm sorry. Adala, I'm going to use with the Arabic because that's easy. Adala and waḍʿ, accuracy. Then Adam al-shudūz, no contradictions, and Adam al-illa. There's no illa in it. There's no defect, hidden defect in it. Clear? If you have a hadith that does check for these 5 things, it is called a Sahih Hadith. Clear? Okay. Do we check the adala of the Sahabi? No. Remember a few weekends ago, I talked about the status of the companions and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about them in the Quran. I told you something very, very important. We do not check their adala. We do not question their integrity, their credibility. We do not. However, what do? We can look for their waḍʿ, their accuracy. Because we know that they're not going to intentionally attribute anything false to Rasulullah ﷺ. But what they could do is be not accurate about it. You understand? Okay. Not that we do a lot of criticism there. We do this at the very, very end. But I'm just going to give you an idea right now. It's just good stuff. Clear? 5 things easy to remember. Okay, inshallah. Okay, you'll forget tomorrow. Yeah, go faster. Yes.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say at a stopping point.
Yeah, inshallah. I'm getting there because much deeper. I just want to be able to kind of give you. So there are. I might do this later. Okay. I'm just gonna give you basic stuff now. Then I'll talk about this. So if it doesn't meet, so again, chain to reliability, truthfulness. 3, accuracy. 4, no contradiction. 5, no defects. Okay, excuse my. So if you have check, that's a Sahih Hadith. Okay. If somebody is not trustworthy, automatic reject. Okay? You understand? Who is trustworthy? So, this is where some of the aqidah elements come in to play. For example, would Sunni scholars consider Shia scholars to be udud?
No.
Sometimes, but most of the time no. Okay, you get the idea? So if somebody who does a lot of bid'ah, okay, not trustworthy. So people of bid'ah, not trustworthy. So we won't take hadith from them. You understand? What are some of the other examples? Yes.
This is for the present day. So if somebody's not
No. They did this from the beginning.
That's not like if somebody's on the member in this present day and saying the hadith. If you think he's not supposed to say that then. If he's not trustworthy, or if he's following any bid'ah.
Don't apply this science to people now. So that is also a very, very dangerous territory. I don't want to talk about that too much, but it's also very dangerous, okay? Don't use this to judge people of today, okay? All right. People have been doing that. There's a lot of bad stuff going on right now, okay? So anyways, it's in different circles, so alhamdulillah, your ears are cleansed from it. You don't hear it, okay? But you will. Okay, you get it? Okay, so who are the trustworthy people? Also, major sinners, people who do commit a lot of major sins, not trustworthy. They could be highly accurate. They could be good people. They're not trustworthy, right? People who abuse animals, right? As the scholars of Hadith were traveling, they're trying to look at the character of the people. If the guy is hurting their animal, he's not trustworthy. Beating his wife, not trustworthy. X, Y, Z, not trustworthy. Committing sins, alcoholic, not trustworthy. You understand? It's not just an aqidah question. Okay?
Eating on the street is not trustworthy either.
So
That's one of them.
let's talk about accuracy. Remember I said accuracy, you can have good memory and also you have good note-taking skills. Okay? By the way, the time I'm talking about, paper didn't exist in the Arab world. They used to use parchments. They were not good with paper stuff. Okay? That wasn't invented. That came way later. Arabic script was not mature. People used to write the Quran like this. What is that?
Seen?
No.
Bismillah.
No.
Allah?
No, it could be anything. It could be bayt. It could be house, or it could be thabat, which means
Standing solid.
yes,
In that
firmness, thabt. Okay, it could have been that, right? The dots came later. That was a later development. That's the time we're talking about right now. You think there's going to be a lot of writing going on? No. A lot of the people didn't know how to read and write. Okay? So there's a lot of memory stuff here. Okay, just to give you an idea. That's the time we're talking about. Okay?
This came at the time of Uthman.
No. No. Incorrect.
Yes, it is.
No, sir. No, sir.
I will prove it to you.
No, sir.
I'll prove it to you.
Okay. Okay, so accuracy. So this kind of stuff matters. So even in the manuscripts of Bukhari, radiallahu anh, right? Just to give you an example, there could be scribal errors because of this. Okay, so that's why sometimes you get different words. Okay, that's not really this word; it's this word. It's not like significant, but it's there. Okay. All right. Then what was I saying? Okay, accuracy. Some narrators were, when they were younger, and they're narrating when they're younger, they're more accurate. As they grow older, they lose accuracy, right? So that happens as well. Does accuracy hurt the hadith? Yes, it does. Hurt the level of authenticity. From a sahih, it drops. Where does it drop to? So it depends upon how inaccurate are they, right? If they're slightly inaccurate, so for a sahih hadith, you have to have high accuracy, okay? And if you have not so high accuracy, you're just accurate, regular average accuracy, it drops to Hasan. So you have, can I write a little bit of Arabic? Okay. All right. So Sahih, okay, is highly accurate. So this one determines the drop. Because truthfulness, it's a binary. You're either credible or you're not credible. If you're not credible, out. Right? Okay, then it drops to Hasan. Means fair, good. Good hadith. These two are called acceptable hadith. This is normally called the acceptable hadith where you are going to derive your deen from. These two categories. Okay? If you have low accuracy, okay, it automatically becomes a da'if hadith. That's what it means by da'if. Now you know. Okay? All right. So, but the person is trustworthy, so that's why it's da'if. Is there probability that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam may have said this, even though it's a da'if hadith? Is there high probability or probability that Rasulullah says yes? So treat da'if hadith with respect. You understand now?
Is maqbool in this
Maqbool, yes. We don't derive our deen from probability. We don't derive our deen from, I said this is probable, right? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam may have said this. We don't know. Islam is not based on guesswork. This is where we derive our deen from. We don't derive our deen from da'if hadith. However, we respect da'if.
Yeah, because
We don't disrespect da'if hadith. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam may have said it. Yes.
So can you use da'if hadith to solidify Hasan or Sahih?
We get there. Wow, you're jumping ahead. Exactly. So more to come, inshallah. I wanted to just introduce it, inshallah. Next week we'll go into more detail. This was important to cover, and I'm just kind of give you an idea of like how these categories then derive. How do we derive the grades of the hadith? Okay. There are many types of da'if hadith. Many different types of da'if hadith. Okay, because you can. So accuracy drops to da'if, right? If there's contradiction, it'll make it da'if. And if there's a high contradiction or somebody with really poor memory, okay, it's going to be da'if jiddan. That's a category. It's very weak. Okay, we definitely don't look at those. We definitely don't look at those. But there's da'if and there's many. So just remember, if you come across a book of hadith and it just says da'if, you can just guess that you don't have enough information, like what kind of da'if, because there's a lot of kind of da'if. Okay, a lot of kind of da'if. So as a normal student, you stay away from da'if hadith. Okay, we have plenty of Sahih and Hasan hadith to know most of our deen. Right? You don't need to worry about the da'if hadith. Okay? But it lead that to educated people and scholars, okay? To determine and use. Anyway, this is a much longer discussion, so I'm going to talk. There's many aspects of it, which we'll talk about later. But I'm just giving you a high level idea. There's many categories of da'if hadith, and then we'll talk about that inshallah next time. And if it has hidden defects, it's da'if again. So any of these things is going to be able to make it da'if. But the most common one is this one. Accuracy is what drops it to da'if, but we still respect it because it's the ability that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said it. So I'll just give you an example of a da'if hadith. For example, I captured. I'm making a huge mess. Sorry about that. I get too passionate sometimes. We're going to go through all these categories. So I wanted to give you yes. So قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, allegedly. So now your language should change when you speak about hadith. Okay. So you don't say قال رسول الله. You only say قال رسول الله. Rasulullah said when it's these two things. You don't say that for this. So you say Rasulullah may have said. You understand? That's why you heard. If you were picking up of how I was speaking, I was most of the time trying to be honest about it. I'd say Rasulullah allegedly said. Remember? If you heard me say that, that's because I may have been talking about al-ḥadīth. Okay. All right. So here's one.
Can you repeat the word again?
ضعيف?
No, like same thing, like whatever you're saying, like
Rasulullah allegedly said, or Rasulullah may have said.
May have said.
Yeah. So here's قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن لكل شيء قلبا وقلب القرآن ياسين. Everything has a heart, and the heart of the Quran is Yasin. وَمَنْ قَرَأَ Yasin, and whoever read Yasin, كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَهُ بِقِرَاءَتِهَا قِرَاءَةُ الْقُرْآنِ عَشَرَ مَرَّاتٍ. Whoever read Yasin, it's as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will write for him that he recited the Quran 10 times. ضعيف hadith. You see that? So we will understand this more, but I'm just telling you. Remember I was telling you why fabrications began? So some scholars, just to encourage people to read the Quran, they sometimes used to make fabrications like that. And they said, I know, I'm saying that because I'm saying that just so that people bring them back to Islam and bring them back to the Quran. So that is why, my friends, a lot of the virtues of the surah, ahadith about the virtues of the surah, most of them are daif. Okay? Most of them are daif. Let me tell you one more thing, a tidbit information. A lot of the hadith Qudsi, a lot of them are daif. Okay? Some of them you find in Bukhari and Muslim. A lot of them are daif. Okay? So just to give you an idea. Alright, inshallah. It's fascinating stuff. It's just getting started, inshallah. Okay? Yeah, I told you it'll be fun.
See that hadith actually describes what these days all these people, imams, like small, they're saying like you have to do this tasbih, do one, surah and all these things.
Yes.
So because of this is right. So that means you have to read the entire.
The topic is deeper. I'm not dismissing da'if hadith. I have high respect. Okay, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam may have said this, guys, but he may not have said this either. Okay.
So the same thing like hadith, like seek for ilm even if you have to go to China. It's like one of those. It's like you have to go to in Pakistan, India, and stuff. They talk about that a lot.
It might be by traveling, because when you travel at that time, you see different cultures and every single thing. Not like going to China and learn something. By way, like it was very far. So I think when they used to travel, they used to learn a lot of different cultures, different people. That's knowledge. Like living in a city, like in your neighborhood, you won't learn that much. But if you travel, then you will see different cultures, you meet different people, and then you seek knowledge from different things,
Yeah. اطلبوا العلم ولو من الصين. Right? Seek knowledge even from China. Okay, so there is I know you guys don't know Arabic, but I'm just there's awesome tools out there now, alhamdulillah. Previous people, they didn't have any of this information. Okay? They didn't have access. Lam yasah. It is not authentic. Okay?